We're back to continue with the E90 project. After my wrapping marathon, car is done, as you saw at the end of the last video. And let's just take a moment to remind ourselves of the finish that we achieved, because I'm really happy with this. And also, let's not forget that it was you lot who chose the colour. And it's a good choice, it's very me. Now, I said at the end of the last video there were a couple of things that I needed to do, one of which was a rear spoiler, because I shut this garage door onto this boot and made a mark in the wrap there. And go back to the video before last where I got the Foxwell to diagnose the ABS light, which is on the dash at the moment and still is, to the driver's side ABS wheel speed sensor. Those are the two things that we're going to get done in this video, and we have these to help us do that. Let's kick off then with the wheel speed sensor. I've got a Bosch one, should be good quality, shouldn't have any of the issues I've had with cheap eBay parts in the past with a Bosch sensor, but you never know. I haven't actually done my research to see exactly how the wiring is set up behind there, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty simple, like the rear, bolts in behind the brake discs, and then there's just a plug probably behind some arch lining. And it'll be interesting to see if, like the rear, the ABS rings themselves that go around the drive shafts are a problem. I'm not sure that they are on the front. When I was looking up the part online for the rear, there are several options that come with the rear ABS ring, but I wasn't seeing that with the front, which makes me think that they're not so much of an issue, but we will find out in a minute. We've got the part, it was £30 for a sensor, so it's worth a go. Let's get the E90 back in the garage. So this is what's happening on the dash. Turn the ignition on, turn the car on. Straight away we are getting lots of lights. When the handbrake's off, the handbrake light stays on yellow as well. This is the code that came up on the Foxwell in the video before last, and since then I've used the Foxwell whilst driving to look at the wheel speed data. Put the clip on screen now and you can see that the front right has no speed signal whatsoever, whereas the other wheels do. Definitely an issue therefore with that front right wheel speed sensor, and hopefully it's just a case of changing the sensor. A bit mad as we've not that long ago done the two rear ones, but hey, this is life with a BMW. First things first then, let's jack up the car and get that front wheel off. The wheel's off and it looks like this should be pretty straightforward. So what have we got? We've got an ABS sensor there that goes into the hub. So inside the hub will be where there'll be some kind of teeth or something for the sensor to read as the wheel rotates. As you can see on the screen now, this is what that looks like. And then the wire just goes up here, clips into the bottom of the strut there, up here, and into this box. There's not even any arch lining to remove, making it much more straightforward than the rear one. Let's open that box so we can have a look at the plug. We can then have a look at the part that I've ordered and just get a sense that we've got the right part, because I understand there are quite a few variants for this car. Some have got active steering, which means as you go faster you have to turn the steering wheel less to turn the wheel the same amount, if that makes sense. How do we get into this box then? Right, okay, some clips at the bottom there, and then it just lifts up. Caked in mud. And then just pull out the plug, and same as the rears, push this clip in, easier said than done. Oh, this is the new plug, so at least we can see that that looks the same. And then unclip it from the body of the car here. This bracket attached to the body of the car anyway. And then same on this one, on the back of the strut. Should just push out, just using a screwdriver to lever it out because it's pretty tight. And lastly, we've just got this Allen key bolt there And I do remember that when I did the rears, the first time I got to them, there was all grit and dirt inside the head of the bolt, and I couldn't get my 5mm Allen key in very easily, but it just needed a bit of a clean up and a bit of a tap to get it in firmly, otherwise you're at risk of rounding off the bolt, which would be bad news. I mean, getting the drill out, which I don't fancy doing, it makes a job that it could take, I don't know, half an hour to an hour, suddenly 4 hours. Wasn't too bad, wasn't very tight really. So bolt out and then sensor out. And I remember from doing the rears, I needed to get some monkey grips on there to wiggle it out. Feels like maybe I need to do the same on the front. Or not, actually, just a bit of persuasion with a little pick. And there it is. What is that? Okay, again, let's check. The new one looks the same. It looks identical. That was a good start. So then whip the old one out. You can check the length of the new one versus the old one now. All looks pretty symmetrical. New one back in, the opposite of what we've just done, taking the old one out. Let's go. I'm just having a nose into the inside of the wheel hub there, and as I spin it, don't know if you'll be able to see, but I can't see any teeth, so I can only assume that it's magnetic and there's some kind of plate, which is all I can see as I spin, and behind that plate there are some teeth or something which the magnet is picking up. But I'll do some research on that and let you know, because I think you'll be interested and I'll be interested. So let's clip to that now. I reckon that the BMW E90's front hubs are like this. They have a multi-pole magnetic ring built into the hub. As the wheel spins, the ring has tiny magnets arranged in a pattern that create a changing magnetic field, as pictured here. And the sensor picks up these changes and turns them into signals that tell the car how fast the wheel is moving. All clever stuff. I'm back to the fitting of the new sensor now. So before we get back in, I'm just going to put some grease. It's not like it's rounded, you've got these little ridges, so there's not a huge amount of contact where it slots in, reducing the likelihood that it does get stuck in the future. As you saw, that old one came out quite easily in the end, but what the hell, I'll put some grease on, doesn't do any harm. Finally, we just clip the box back in, and that is all there is to it. It's nice to have done more of a straightforward job, having just finished the wrapping, which wasn't really that straightforward, was it? Otherwise it wouldn't have taken me 5 videos to get through it. But we don't know if that's going to fix the trouble code yet, and if it's going to bring back the wheel speed reading to the computer. Let's get the wheel on and then we can find out. Just quickly though, before I do that, one of the jobs on the agenda, as you know from the previous videos, is to lower the car. Whilst we're under here, we can see the strut tower, which we're going to have to remove, and these bolts down here are known for being very difficult to remove, so as I've got access to it, I'll just give it a bit of a squirt. Not much looking forward to that job, I have to be honest, which is why I have started with the wheel speed sensor and the spoiler in this video. Always torque your wheels up, that's not something you want to mess with. You get it wrong, either your wheel starts wobbling as you're driving down the road, potentially falling off, or in the future you've got seized bolts and you can't get your wheel off. Only one thing left to do now, but test the new sensor. First, let's see what happens when we start the engine now. Okay, so the lights are all coming back on. Let's plug the code reader in, clear the code, and then start the engine and see if the lights still come back on. It may be that it needs a drive to realise that it now has a signal. Here is the code that's stored, so let's get rid of it. Now let's see what happens when we start the car. Looking good, let's take it for a drive. I've barely left the garage and already I can see that we've got a reading Let me show you. Front right wheel speed sensor is highlighted. And you can see we've got a speed. Good news, we've got a fix. Always love an easy fix with minimal diagnosis. Now doing a solid 35 miles an hour and still no lights on the dash. We've still got a reading on the Foxwell. Superb. Tick off the list. On to job number 2 then, and that is going to be the spoiler. Here is the damage from the garage door. Where's my spoiler box? Here's my spoiler box. What's inside the spoiler box? There it is. We've not gone for anything too extreme, too mad. The description said this was a M3 spoiler, and it should go like that. Covers right over that mark, which is good. To be honest, now the mark's happened, I'm not too worried about it. There's plenty of areas on the car where the wrap is less than perfect and it scratches incredibly easily. Let me show you. Can you see that scratch there? Yeah, that's a good angle. And that goes all the way along. I need to look into if there's a product that I can use to make that invisible on the wrap. But yeah, I don't know how that happened. I think it might have been driving down the side of a bush or plant or something. There are going to be imperfections on the wrap, but I said in my last video I was thinking about getting a spoiler anyway, and the damage to the wrap just made the decision a bit easier, and here it is. It does look pretty cool in the gloss black. Oh, it's a difficult one. I thought I was going to wrap it. I still think I probably will wrap it, but I do like it in the black, although there are some scratches on it. Yeah, I'll stick with plan A and let's get back on the wrapping. Because you know, it's been a whole 2 weeks or so since I last wrapped anything. Let's get this inside to wrap it in a more dust-free environment. Here is the wrapped spoiler. Let's get it back in the garage and fit it onto the boot of the E90. So it's going to go on like this. My plan in terms of fitting it, I'm going to put some masking tape around there to mark out where it's going to go, and then I'm going to take it off and I'm going to cut out some of this wrap, purely because I think it will stick more securely to the paint under the wrap than it would the wrap. Maybe I'm being a bit paranoid, but I'm just thinking if the spoiler's stuck to the wrap, maybe in time it might start to pull the wrap away, is one reason, but the other reason is that I just think that things stick better to paint than the wrap, and I'm thinking in relation to when I put the knifeless tape down in the previous wrap videos, it hasn't really stuck that well to the wrap. That's my plan. Like it or not, I'm doing it. Can't believe I'm doing this after all these hours of wrapping, and I'm going to take a blade to it and cut a hole in my wrap. That took longer than I expected it to, which is a good sign that the wrap is well stuck to the paintwork. Looking a bit strange now on the rear. What I neglected to just tell you was how I'm going to be sticking it, and it is with this stuff which I previously used pre-YouTube career on the Astra to bond this side skirt back to the car, which was just hanging off here, and it's held up very well, so I know I can trust that product. And for my £50 spent on the spoiler, I also got some double-sided tape, which does feel very sticky, so in conjunction with the speed bond I will use a bit of double-sided tape. To be fair, this double-sided tape is actually incredibly sticky and probably would hold the spoiler on its own. Certainly if it was stuck directly to paint, but the way that I've cut the hole in the wrap to expose the paint, I've still got a bit of wrap around the edges, so still I'm not going to trust the tape on its own to hold this spoiler on. Okay, so it's been so long since I did the side skirt on the Astra that the bond has dried inside, or some of it has anyway, but not all of it. So I've sawn off the top and I can scoop it out to apply to the spoiler. Not the best way to do it. I should have just not been cheap and bought a new tab, but I thought I'd be able to squeeze it out. Anyway, we are where we are, so let's scoop and apply. This is going to get very messy. It's going to be tricky to not get this all over the spoiler, and I may yet regret not just using the double-sided tape. I think that was reasonably successful so far anyway, so now I just need to stick it in place. I'm a bit concerned about the fitment, as it was a cheap £50 spoiler off eBay. I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be good enough. You won't believe that I didn't press record as I've just put the spoiler onto the car. I guess you haven't missed much from the last clip. I literally just picked it up off the toolbox and had put it on the car. I've been pressing it down, so from the top it's not too bad a fit along there. As I push down here, a little bit of the bond squeezed its way out, so I've cleaned that up. You can just see the edge of the double-sided tape. I did do it to the edge of the spoiler because hopefully that will stop water and stuff getting in there and getting mouldy and mossy. So where the fit isn't quite so good is this bottom edge. There's a bit of a gap in there compared to that side, and I've tried pushing it down. It's not really happening. I'm kind of okay with that. I prefer that it looks better from the top than from there, because to see that you do have to bend right down. You're not really going to notice it. You're not going to see that driving behind the car. From a 50 quid spoiler, I think that's pretty cool. Let's let it set overnight and see what it looks like in the morning. The morning after the night before, here it is. As I say, the fitment could have been a bit better underneath, but it's pretty good from the top, and from this angle it looks fine. Another big step towards making the E90 the car that I want it to be. We fixed the ABS sensor issue and we have put a spoiler on it. The next job on the list is to sort out the ride height. So if you want to see that, keep an eye out for the next video and I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Wrong, your wheel. Yeah.